Check this out. A military tribunal has declared that the military firing all of the people who didn't want to get jabbed was unconstitutional. And so now this is because it's a military tribunal. It's a non-binding decision, but it is, I guess, an official statement of their stance on the issue. So let's take a look at this CTV News report on this military tribunal and the massive effects this could have.
Debate tonight over mandatory COVID vaccinations, with a military tribunal arguing the policy may have violated the Charter of Rights. Hundreds of members of the Canadian Armed Forces lost their jobs for refusing the shot, and many are taking the government to court. CTV's Judy Trin explains.
More than 400 Canadian Forces members were fired or quit over the COVID-19 vaccine mandate. Among them, Dallas Flamond, a special ops sniper who refused to get the vaccine.
My chain of command was told by our sergeant major that he wanted me out of our troop by the end of the week, which was a very drastic response. I'd never seen anything like it.
Dozens of similar complaints were filed with the Military Grievances External Review Committee. The Administrative Tribunal found that the charter rights of some members were violated in the process of implementing the policy. The military's vaccine mandate was arbitrary, overly broad, and disproportionate, and that it had a permanent impact on their lives and livelihoods.
It's a very significant step forward.
Catherine Christensen says military brass bullied some members into getting the vaccine. She represents 350 soldiers and veterans who are suing the government. She now expects more to join after this finding.
That is all abuse of power. But when you have hundreds of people coming forward and saying, this is what they have done to me, it has to be paid attention to.
But constitutional experts say the committee's decision is unlikely to hold up in court. Charter challenges to vaccine mandates across several provinces have already been dismissed.
What you do affects others' liberty and others' security of the person. And for that reason, they held that they could not say that they had been infringed so much that it was a violation of the Charter rights.
The recommendations by the Military Grievance Committee are not binding. The Canadian Forces has yet to decide if it will accept the findings. But under the National Defence Act, it is an offence for soldiers to refuse mandatory vaccination. Sandy.
All right, Judy, thank you.
Except they're not vaccines.
Yeah, so, they got a few things wrong there. And I love how they clip right over the doctor there, or not whomever. Yeah, it was. And you just edited with, that is all abuse of power. They just skip over everything that she was referring to.
Yeah.
That probably was important.
Yeah, but in the military now, they have, they've outlawed using the military for experimental testing, right? Because that was a big problem in the past. But I think now it's illegal for them to use military members for experimental testing, unless they sign up for it. So... if that,
I'm not too sure off the top of my head, but I mean, this is great to see on CTV News.
Yeah, they try to smooth it out by saying, well, it probably won't hold up because what you do affects other people. It's like, no, it's not your responsibility ever. Other people's health is not your responsibility. Your own personal health is your own personal responsibility, always has been. So, and it's written into virtually every single health act that you can't hold, you can't consider any human to be a health hazard, no matter whether you take a vaccine or don't take a vaccine.
Yeah.
So, there's a few inconsistencies there in the CTV News report, but it's still, like you said, good to hear that the military has come to this conclusion. And I do think that as we move forward, more and more people, you're not going to have people winning in civilian sectors of this legal battle and then the military be left out. And the thing is, think about also in the military how many problems they have with people abusing rank, right? Mm-hmm. So, you have sexual allegations and all this and all that. But just abusing your rank to force people to do stuff in the military is a fairly punishable offense. Now, especially when it comes to something like this that has never been, it's never been written into law. You know what I mean? Like, these vaccines have always been, according to the Trudeau government, optional. And we never forced anybody in this and that and the other. Well, what were they doing in the military? Right?
Yeah.
So they have such a wishy-washy legal ground to stand on that I think this military tribunal is just getting ahead of it. They're just saying this is where it's going to go, and you guys can try to argue it in court or whatever. But charter rights have been breached.